Hey, what's up? It's Rashad, OG friend of the fam, Antonio, Secret Invasion, episode number two. The name of the episode is Promises. None of those were kept. All
No.
spoilers. Gotta talk about a thing to talk about the thing. First and last warning, man. I just want to say off top, this was a really good episode.
It was.
I mean, and the sad part is a lot of people probably won't even be watching this on some dumb stuff. You know what I'm saying? A
Hmm.
lot of people online mad about the AI thing. They said the first episode was super slow, or they feel like Marvel's falling off. I'm like, dog, if you
Oh
didn't
my
see
God.
this, then you just
Pe-
missing out, man.
People are stupid, man. I've come to realize that, and folk don't believe in world and character building anymore. It's like they want it now, quick, fast, in a hurry. Like, yo, this isn't Michael Bay's Transformers. I'm sorry, you're not going to get explosions. You're not going to get explosions off the top. They are actually telling a story and connecting Captain Marvel movie to this, and as how it started off. But yeah, people are stupid. Go ahead, Rashad. I'm sorry, man.
Yo, I mean, I'm gonna be. I can't go in chronological order. So, like,
Yeah, so let's
bruh, like Nick Fury has a wife. And not only Nick Fury has a
yeah,
wife, his wife is a scroll.
scroll. So
Questions,
he's
Tony.
clapping scroll cheeks. And
Mhm.
yeah, and if
You
y'all
and
didn't know, that was the scroll woman that in the beginning in the flashback
name
who
was
introduced,
Zara or Zara
yeah, she introduced Fury to
to Gravik.
Gravik, yeah, war criminal scroll Gravik or whatever. I'm sorry.
God.
Sorry. War criminal Gravik over here,
The
she introduced
daggone
Nick Fury.
the Osama bin Laden of scrolls over here.
Right, yo, stop. Right, that no,
For
okay,
real.
cool. History time here. Yes, Osama bin Laden was a horrible person. He's no longer with us that we know of. We'll just say that or whatever. But people, we taught Osama bin Laden, the Americans, everything that he knew, gave him weapons for his group. Which was what the Taliban, Al Qaeda, to help. They started their revolution over in Pakistan, and then basically, as my grandmother Nana, God bless her soul, would say, Osama started smelling himself and wanted to become bigger than what he was. So, and for some reason, that seems to be the history of the United States when it comes to squashing rebellions everywhere. We'll get people who are pissed off in that country about the rebellion, teach them some things that we know how to do, give them some weapons, get them training. They quell the rebellion or whatever's going on, and then they end up turning on us because we are the American dogs or whatnot. But
Cause
that's
like,
basically what
yeah,
Gravik was.
that's such a good analogy because we got the American, which is Nick Fury, and said,
Mm-hmm.
"Look, yo, basically on some if you watch my back, I'll watch your back type stuff."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Look, man, me and Carol Danvers, we gonna find y'all a home." And I'm trying to figure out, like, bro, how was you gonna find anybody anything? You Earthbound.
You
You know what I'm
earthbound,
saying?
bro.
And
What
and
are you
Captain
doing?
and and Carol Danvers left. And unless she was like, yo, why you out there on your travels? Can you look for a home for the people for real, for real? You know what I'm saying? Like, and like
That's something that I'm really interested in to know. Like, what was she doing in between the end of Captain Marvel to when Thanos snapped the fingers? Because it was like, what the hell was she doing? Was she just out in the other side
yeah.
of the universe saving people and maybe still trying to find people? But you saw like,
Nah, she was out
because
trying to
the
find
show.
herself.
So this episode starts off basically doing like a recap of Captain Marvel. You
Yeah.
know how Nick and Telos met each other, the family, blah 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 blah, and Carol Danvers, was like, hey, we're gonna try to find a home. And then it goes to 1997, and Telos is there, and he's like, and he's talking to a room full of people that were scrolls, and was like, look, yo, like we're trying, he did say, Curl, there was some places that were found, but they was always met with aggression and like You know what I'm saying? They had to flee
I'm just
that
saying,
area or
man. Like, if
whatever.
you saw a scroll rolling up, would you want to?
Yeah, hell no, man. You know, hell no. Hell no. I'll be like, yo, you know, I'm gonna hit him. I'm gonna hit him with my man West Side Gunner. Boom, 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 boom. You know, boom, 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 boom. You know, so he's telling, you know, they're talking, and that's where we see Zara, who's a scroll, and she's introducing, you know, young Gravik to Nick Fury, and she's like, yo, this kid is like a straight up beast. Like, for lack of a better term, this kid is like Gravik is like Saw Gerrera OD from Star Wars or
Yes.
whatever. And she was like, yeah, his mom and dad got killed by the Kree in the invasion or whatever, and like he survived out in space and made his way to find us. And she was like, yo, we should bring him in. And Nick was like, man, he's just a kid. She was like, go talk to him. You'll see it. And my man was not having it at all. That kid, you know, it's like when you see those movies where a kid just becomes hard, cold and hard. And that's exactly what Gravik is. You know, he had his parents killed in front of him, and he's just a cold, hard dude, and he's looking for a place, and he wants his revenge. And like, you know, basically Nick Fury was like, Telos basically said, look here, this man right here, you know, we come up with a plan where you guys basically come here on Earth, you little bit of scroll come here on Earth, and y'all kind of like work for me, you know, you be spies and stuff like that, while me and Carol Danvers try to find you a home. But like you
Mm-hmm.
said, Rashad, like, find what home? It's 1997, bro, and you are an Earthling with one eye now or whatnot. And so then we fast. So then we come back where it actually picks up exactly where the show left off last week with the bombing. You know, you see Gravik walking away. You see Gia seeing like the aftermath of what's going on. And you see like Nick Fury hovering over Maria Hill's body, and he's like screaming and crying, like, no, 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 this and that. And then some guy, and then in the meantime, you see a guy that was a scroll earlier getting arrested, and he's doing the perfect I'm an American. He's just yelling, I'm an American.
Like,
I'm an
dog,
American.
you know, like
Like,
it was
yeah,
so on the nose. I'm like, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
I'm an
yeah,
American. And
yeah.
so that basically was like, oh, we had Americans there. And so, you know, the Russian police pick him up. And then some other dude comes and snatches up Nick Fury. Nick Fury's like, hey, man, who are you, man? Get off me, man. Whatever, blah, blah, blah. Throws in the back of the truck, and come to find out that was Telos basically like getting Nick Fury out of there before anybody grabs him up. And yeah, and I forgot, even though I just finished watching the
No,
show,
it's all good. I mean, that
where
basically
we pick up
the
from.
next scene is when they meet them outside on the plane when they basically are taking Maria Hill's remains back to
No,
America.
before that, the train.
That was that was after that.
Because I thought it was before the
It
because
don't
I think
matter.
that's when. Well, whatever. Uh,
No, no, the train was after that
what?
because he meets him on the train, the whole all that stuff. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you see Maria. So people that were saying like maybe she's alive. No, Maria Hill is
No, she
dead.
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 She
Like
dead. Dead.
she's yeah, she's dead. Dead. You know, rest in peace, Maria Hill. You served your time in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but you are no longer with us unless there's alternate timeline versions of you. They did the whole military, her remains being returned back to the United States. Her
Mm-hmm.
mother is there looking at her remains, and then her mother
Yo,
happens to look up
is her mom a Marine? She had a Marine pendant on. Did you
and
peep
look
that?
like I
Yeah,
did
look.
peep that. I
Yeah,
did
yeah,
peep
yeah,
that.
yeah.
And you know, everyone's mourning and everything. And then she looks up and she sees old Nikki Fury, and she makes a beeline towards Nick Fury. And
Uh-huh.
Nick is like, yo, I'm sorry. I think Elizabeth was her name or something like I'm sorry. And she was like, yeah, were you there? Just straight up like, were you there? And he was like, yeah. And she was like, you couldn't do nothing. And she was like, look, you know, something happened. And then she said, well, how did she die? And he gave like a straight up military political answer. She says, look here, yo.
No,
She says,
he said it was quick.
it was quick, right? How did she die? It was quick. She was like, you know what? Every that guy over there said, you know what I'm saying, the country owes you a service. No one can tell me why my daughter died and where she died at, but they owe me a service. And you giving me basically the same BS, Nick. And then Nick was like, yeah, she died in Russia. And like, we were trying to stop an attack that happened. And she was like, Nick, that girl believed in you and she would have followed you to the gates of hell. Like, what's happening? You're like, what's happening here? Like, are you like you losing it? Like, basically, like I said last episode, when the British chick was like, yo, you're dusty, you can't get it no more, you're worthless, type go back to space type thing. And so she was like, well, look here, Nick. She basically said she still believes in him. And she was like, I need for you to make sure she ain't die for nothing. So in the meantime, we see, the train scene or whatever, and Tilo and look like the Russian police are looking for Nick Fury or whatever.
Yeah.
And they open up the thing and a woman sticks her head out. And they're like, hey, you seen this guy? And it's a picture of Nick Fury. And like, it's like a black man in Moscow. You'll see an alien here before you see that, which was even funny because
kind of find out. So funny.
So for kind of find out it was Telos disguised as a woman. Nick Fury was inside the little bathroom that was in the cabin. And they start to have a conversation. And Nick Fury, and this goes to show you that Nick Fury, body-wise may not be what he was, but mind-wise, he still is. So he's still like he said, yo, I'm Nick Fury. He's still Nick Fury. And he's like, we played a game, me and my mom, tell me something I don't know about you and your girlfriend. He gave a little backstory. So he said, so Telos, let's play a game. Tell me something I don't know about the destruction of Skrullos. And he was like, hey, man, you know everything. And he was like, tell me what I don't know. And then he was just like, hey, man, Kree attacked, only 1 million of us survived. He says, and only 1 million of us survived. He said, what happened to that million? And he was just like,
no, he didn't even say million yet. He was like, he said, tell me what happened to Skrulls. He said, like, basically we held off the Kree as much as we could. Then right. He was like, tell me something about the Skrulls I don't know. And he was like,
oh, right. Yeah.
He was like, yo, you know everything about the Skrulls. Then he was like, for real? He said, tell me something about the Skrulls that I don't know. And he was like, he said, yeah, he said, yeah, everybody who basically who gave out, I gave out the call.
Yeah.
and they all came. He said, they all. He said, yeah.
They all. He said, yeah.
He said, how many is all? He said, about 1 million. So, bro,
you trying to tell me 1 million daggone Skrulls on this planet and you ain't say that? He was like,
he said, you must be out your reptilian ass mind.
Yeah, he said, you are, yo, he was like, you must be out your reptilian ass mind. He was like, hey, man. He says, where would you want me to go? He said, you would have done. He said, this ain't about me. This is about you having 1 million Skrulls on this planet, and you ain't tell me about it. And then he basically told Fury, hey, bro, you on here. So what you want me to do? He was like, they my people.
And that was such a lie. Because think about it like this. If there's 1 million Skrulls on Earth, that means there was probably 1 million Skrulls way before the daggone snap even happened. So that means there's probably more Skrulls now because if Nick get the claps on Skrull cheeks, they are just to reproduce and what I'm saying, to have more of their own species. So let's just park right there.
Go for it.
Do you understand how many Skrulls is 1 million? That's a lot of Skrulls on Earth. Yo, so because thinking about it, going back to the first meeting, right? And because he also told us, he said, look, yo, he said, I sent out to call, and the people who came, like, we thank you. And Nick was thinking, like, these is all the people y'all got. Because Talos tells him that. So essentially, he been lying from the jump. You know what I'm saying? So now we got.
And I'm pretty sure Skrulls were like coming to Earth even before that Captain Marvel stuff.
I mean, but even if that wasn't the case, but still, it's like, yo, this has way bigger ramifications than we thought this was going to have just on the MCU at large, especially on Earth.
So, they have a falling out of sorts, and they get to a station, and Nick Fury's like, you know what? I think this show stop right here, bro. Like, Nick Fury, like,
he was so black. This whole episode.
This episode, he was so black, man. Like, this was like every black trope, or say just a black. Anybody black watch this is like, yeah, that's somebody
Nick
Fury
was, he definitely felt like my uncle out here, just really. Like, look, like, I know I'm old, but like I'm still smarter than you. Like, it was, it was so good.
Yeah. And so then we see Gravik and Gia, you see like them leaving and they're driving, and Gravik is like, she said something to him like, what she say to him about, did you know it was going to be something?
Did you know Nick Fury's gonna be there?
He was like, not really, but I figured he'd be there because he has a pattern or whatever. And of course, since he seems to be, he was like the Padawan to Nick Fury's, Jedi, it seems like, so he wouldn't know his guy. So, he was like, yeah, we about to meet with the council and, let's go. He says, yo, just get me to the council. And so I'm like, oh, so we gonna see this council that Telos was kicked out of or whatever. And so we you also see like news reports of like the Prime Minister of the UK, and you see a guy who he's playing like, it seems like almost like a right-wing conservative, like, political guy. So the United States was not a part of this or whatever, and they're saying, yeah, we're getting ready to plan like a meeting in UK, of like the G9 to figure out what's up
for the Fox News FXN. Yeah, that was the president. That's President Ritson.
Yeah, right. So we get to Gravik and Gia walk into this building. They get to the council, and she wants to go in, and like the guard stops them, and she's like, "You think I'm not gonna stay out here?" And Gravik's like, "It's cool. Here, take this gun. If I don't come out in an hour, go ahead and shoot him." He said, "Shoot him right here in the head." I was like, "Damn." And so the council's in there. It's like about five people in there, and Gravik, and they're in their human form, and Gravik walks in, is like, "Hey, what's going on, guys?" type thing, and they're looking at him like, "Yo, man, what the hell is wrong with you, bro?" What? They're looking at you like, "Yo, what the hell is going wrong?" And I want to bring something up even before we go back to that. Back when Telos and Nick Fury were arguing in the thing, Nick Fury was like, when Nick Fury said, "You just thought that, y'all," he was like, when Telos said, "Man, I was hoping that you could be the bridge to where Skrulls and humans can live together on Earth." He was like, "We don't even like each other. What makes you think y'all gonna walk around here, Green walk around here and we're gonna be cool?" He said, "Since men have been able to walk, we have been killing each other and fighting amongst each other. You think that wasn't gonna be a problem? So that was gonna be a problem. Like, oh, yeah, we'll let you let two different species be on the planet." So it's very funny that he says that, because that is very much human history. So, back at the meeting, they're like looking at Gravik like, "Yo, man, the hell is wrong with you, bro? Like, what are you doing?" And Gravik is just like, "Hey, look here. Whatever. I did what I had to do. Y'all was there when Nick Fury made this promise. Nick Fury made a promise to us that you find a home. And he didn't keep that promise." And he was like, "You know what? Look," he basically, in all intents and purposes, said, "I'm kind of grown fond of Earth." Basically that's what he said. And so then come to find out that one of the council members was in on it the whole time, and that council member was the UK Prime Minister, who was a Skrull. And she came out of her mouth and was like, "Yo, I say that Gravik should be the general of the Skrull army." And so I guess apparently if you're the general of the Skrulls or whatever, you're in charge of everybody, even the council and stuff. And you saw the one lady who was like Indian or something like that, and she was a Skrull. He was like, "Have you lost your mind? Why are we gonna make this dude?" And the other guy was like, "Yo, he's a traitor. Like, what are we trying to live in peace and stuff?" And so he basically, the one Skrull tried to be like, "Hell no, I'm doing this." And one of her people came over, like chopped him in the throat and said, "Yeah, we're not got no more problems out of him, are we?" And he basically was like, "I need y'all to submit to me and they all submit to him, and their version of submitting is basically shedding their human skin, and they show their natural scroll form towards them. Only one didn't, and she was like, "Yo, I
Yeah,
can't do this, man."
that was Shirley. Shirley
Yeah,
wasn't having it.
Shirley was like, "Nah, we ain't doing this, yo. Like, what's going? Like, no, I'm not down with it, or whatever." And I was like, "Oh man, they about to kill him." And Gravik, he still, cares about his own people. He just looked at him and said, "It's okay, sister." He says, "No harm will be with you. You can go ahead and be. You can go ahead and bounce. Get up out of here right now." And she walks out. They didn't touch her, so she goes out in the
Unscathed. I
hall
was
with
really surprised.
unscathed. I was surprised at that too, but she goes out, and what did she do? She called Telos. Hey, they made Gravik the daggone general, my boy. It might be a problem here. And then Telos was like, "Hey, well, look, set up a meeting between me and Gravik." And she was like, "Yo, he's gonna kill you if he does it." You know what I'm saying? And he's like, "Look
Mhm.
here." He says, "Yeah, it's a good chance," but he says, "I want to tell him, I want to talk to him, especially about my daughter or whatever, because Telos is hurt that his daughter betrayed him or whatever." So then from there, we fast forward, I guess, to the next day where there's the G9 summit in England about, what I'm saying, the US involvement in this, what I'm saying, the attack in Russia. And the president doesn't show up. It's just Rhodey or whatever. And did they even say what his title was? Was he
Nah,
Secretary of State?
Rhodey's he's like a special envoy. Like he ain't even got no
Yeah,
time. He's like, yo, like essentially, he's just the black person taking the grunt of all the
yeah,
the
yeah.
shots from the world for the president.
Right. And so they're there and they keep asking these questions, and you can tell he is so irritated. Like, why am I here listening to these people? And he's flicking his little pen and stuff. And then the Slovenian chick keeps looking and he like covers up the mic saying, "Yo, she looks at me one more time. It's like basically it's gonna be a problem type thing." And so you got like Italy, France. And in the MCU, let me tell you something. The French are annoying in the MCU because they was annoying
Trash.
in Wakanda forever, trying to be righteous, and now and they was the ones attacking Wakanda. And here we are now. We know the French is tradition. The French are traditionally, we are laissez-faire. We don't get involved with anything. But now in the MCU, they want to buck or whatever, act like they're hard. And so they was like, why didn't the president even come? And he was like, yo, the president showed up because he has the job of running the most powerful nation in the country with the most powerful army in the country. He pulled the U.S. flex. That's always our flex. Like, yo, y'all really want to start with us?
You know
You
we
know
got
what we
you
have.
do know we got the strongest military, right? Like
We got the strongest military. We got the strongest military in the world. Like this, and you really want to do this? He was like, we heard about what happened. We mourn, we mourn, and we here to. What was the term he used, Rashad? He was like, not we mourn. He was like, we mourn, and we, saying we're looking into it and stuff. And it was so they was like, well, we got pictures of Nick Fury, and he was like, I don't trust nothing that comes from Russia. Give us those photos and we'll take it to Langley and analyze it and see what's going on. Yo, they were so pissed when he said that. And he basically flexed like, look here. Basically he was like,
he said,
y'all
oh
better
yeah,
be happy that I'm even here for
yeah.
this nonsense.
It was funny, right? He was like, yeah, Nick Fury's alleged presence here.
Yeah, he said alleged. He says Nick Fury. He was like his alleged presence here. He just kept saying it like Rhodey is such a politician. Like now, it's crazy. And
Mhm.
so basically, he says his piece, and they're leaving the meeting. His phone rings, and it's Nick Fury. And Nick Fury's like, "Hey, that's a nice suit. That's a nice suit you got there." He said, "That's way too expensive for your position in pay grade or whatever." And he's like, "Whatever, Nick." And he tells his guards, "It's Fury or whatever." He was talking to him. He was like, "Look, we need to meet me here, and we'll talk." And so then they meet up at this restaurant in Europe, in London, whatever the hell they at, and it becomes very tense in there. Um, so it starts off okay at first, and like Fury is telling him like, "Yo, man, like you trust your guards and stuff." He was like, "Yeah, I do," or whatever. He was like, "Why you say that?" He was like, He said, "Oh, you think they spy?" He was just like, "I'm saying." He was like, "Yeah." He was like, "No, I don't mean that." He was like, "Hydra." He said, "Yeah, if Hydra were green men with pointy ears," he said, "Hydra green men with pointy ears," and he was
And,
like,
and
it's a
can
look."
shape shift into your daddy.
He said, "Can shape shift into your daddy." And when he said that, Rhodey had a look at his face. He said, "How long have you known?" And he was like, "Man, 15 years ago, bro. I was, whatever. I saw some documentation, whatever, and I see the scrolls are here." He was like, "Yo, we being invaded from the inside right now, and you are like, y'all really have no idea what's going on." He was like, "There's no way." He said, "I thought the same." He says, "I thought the same damn thing." Like I don't think people understand. Like if Nick Fury's like, "Yo, Lo, like my guy," I thought the same thing. Look, it got past me. Like me, you should be concerned if it got by me. And so Rhodey starts to basically feel himself. And he's just like, and so the little bodyguard dude comes over and says, "Sir, vehicle's out here." He's like, "Oh, you leaving there?" He says, "No, the vehicle's for you." He was like, "Yeah, you need to get on out of here." Blah blah blah. He was like, "What?" He said, "You are fired." And he said, "Wait a minute, what you say? You fired?" He was like, "They sent you to fire me?" He said, "No, I sent myself to fire." Rhodey wants to be Nick Fury now, and he's
I
like,
don't
he said,
and that's what's
and
crazy part to me
uh-huh.
because as they were talking, like Nick Fury was just trying to appeal to his black. He's like, "Yo, just help a brother out, yo."
My God,
And
yo,
then and then
Rhodey read
Rhodey
him for filth. He read him for all the. He said,
he
"What did you say?"
eviscerated. He eviscerated
Yo,
him.
he said, "Oh, you trying to say I'm you the reason I'm here?" He said, "Yeah, I'm kind of the reason why you're in the position you are." Bro, you know what I'm saying? Black folk helping each other out and stuff to get rid of mediocre, basically white men out these positions
Mediocre
so
men
we
like
can.
Alexander Pierce. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Alexander Pierce. And if you don't remember, that was the guy that was in charge of Shield in Civil War, Captain America Civil War. And then Rhodey proceeds to say, "I came here to fire you, blah, blah, blah. And you basically trying to use your blackness, this and that." He says, "Well, I'm doing this now to get rid of people like you who are mediocre in our own people." I said, "No, the hell he didn't." Nick Fury was, lack of a better term, furious. Fury was
He
furious.
was
He
flabbergasted.
was hot when he said that.
Fuming.
He right. And so then the dude grab Fury and take him to the car. Fury let him know, like, "Hey, I'm there." He broke my man's arm and said, "You think you telling me it's gonna stop me from doing this? You
Yeah.
you
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 taking
know
my
who I
title
am?"
from me ain't gonna have no effect on what I do. He said, just when you think I'm out, I'm still in.
I'm still in. And I think that's the thing Rhodey kind of forgot, because it's
Tony.
like you really
Tony.
think so. You try to think
Tony.
Fury without any constrictions and strength
Tony.
is gonna be tameable.
Tony. Tony. Brody is a scroll. Like, there's
I
no other
know.
way
Oh
to
yeah.
explain this
There's no other way.
nonsense.
There's no other way to
Like,
explain it. I felt it for a while, but I really feel it now. That
Brody
dude is
is
a straight up scroll.
definitely a scroll, like,
Yeah, he's
because
definitely a scroll spy.
there would be no, like, I don't even think real Rhodey would have even told him that, yeah, I saw some stuff on some paperwork in a meeting 15 years ago. That
Yeah.
just it's such a off the top of my head line to say. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
scroll
Rhodey
watch.
definitely
Rhodey's a
is
scroll.
a scroll watch. Rhodey is a scroll. Definitely, without a shadow of a doubt, he's a scroll. So we get back to the Gravix base, and
Slow
they are
down, slow
celebrating.
down, slow down, Tony. We gotta get to what's the lady name you met last episode that was talking on the junk
The
to
interrogation. No, that was last. That was last. Because remember, we get to the base and they're celebrating him, and Gia follows the guy that's like Gravik's right hand man, and he's talking to that chick, and like she's following him and talking to him about
something because
they
he can't
doing
even
DNA
hear. Yeah.
splicing. Right,
Yeah.
they're doing DNA splicing, and there's a machine that lights up or whatever.
And then
And
we see
then
some
we
vials with some names on it.
right, and we also saw her go into a computer, and she opens up the computer, and she sees Call Obsidian, who was one of Thanos' children, like some of his DNA. Can remember his arm got cut off in the first Infinity War.
Yeah, who else we see?
And then it was a
Groot.
Groot. You saw some Groot
Frost
DNA,
Giant.
Frost Giant, and it was something else I couldn't really see or whatever. But you saw those things. Find it. And then that's when Gravik comes in, like, what you doing? And she
Extremis.
Right, Extremis. I forgot about Extremis. For those who don't remember Extremis, that was Iron Man 3. You know, so you got all that going on. And then Gravik walks in and is like, hey, what you doing in here? And she's like, oh, I'm just, checking in on the new recruit, which is the black dude who joined, the first episode, who walked up to the gate or whatever. And she was like, yeah, he's going to be a fine addition or whatever. And he was like, all right, yeah, well, we got to go do something real quick. So now,
real quick, almost forgot. Back to the meet with the council. And he was like, dude was like, yo, so what we going to do with the Avengers show up? Gravik is like, don't you think I already thought about that? And this scene confirms that. They try to make Super Scrolls,
Super Scrolls. They're trying to make Super Scrolls.
And the sad part is that that Dalton, Dr. Dalton, I think his lady's name, husband and the wife, they're trying to do that, and they're like not able to actually do what they need to do. They've been they've been harvesting something, I guess more scrolls to be Super Scrolls, but it's not, they're not taking.
Right. So now we fast forward to the British lady. We got to get her name or whatever. She's the one that's in charge of MI6, and she's the one that read. So I just want to say this. I hope we don't see every episode Nick Fury getting read for filth, because there's 2 episodes now he got read for filth. First was by that British lady, and now by Rhodey. And so she walks up to like a meat shop, and the dude's speaking Russian, and he's like, how did you, that door was locked. And she said, yeah, and I got in here. That should let you know what type of person I am. She says,
Sonya Falsworth.
Yeah, Sonya Falsworth. She was like, where's he at? And he looked at her. She's like, oh, let's stop playing games. Where is he at? And then the guy said, he says, back here? Okay, cool. So Sonya just walks on back, opens up, go in the back of the room, then opens up one of the freezers that's supposed to be a freezer, and they are basically beating the piss out of that guy who got arrested during the bomb site, yelling, I'm an American, I'm an American, I'm an American. And they're interrogating him like, who you work for, this and that. And she's like, oh, stop it. And he's like, who are you? And he was like, oh, stop it. He's like, how long y'all been interrogating him? She's like, yeah. He was like, who are you? He gave her the phone, and the phone, dude picked the phone like, yeah, yes, sir. Okay. All right. Y'all get out and stuff. She's like, all right. And so they basically, like, their superiors basically were told by her that she needs to go, told him to get out of there. And so he was like, lady, we've been at this like all day. He ain't broke. What makes you think? And she was like, oh, I got my way. And she was like, by the way, where's the trap door to escape out of here? And he was like, why would you need that? She says, I just have a hunch. Where's the trap door at? And he was like, it's right there. Okay, cool. She proceeds to talk to this guy, and this guy's like, man, whatever. I'm never taught. And she's like, yeah, okay. And she just takes some like clippers and cuts one of his fingers off. And
finger off.
And it turned into a scroll. She says, like I figured, now that we got that out the way. And he was like, I'll never tell that she has some type of like
serum or something. Yeah.
Serum that makes their blood boil.
So 160 centigrade. I'm like, that sounds pretty hot.
In their body. And he was like, you can shoot me in the arm all you want. And she was like, yeah, okay. And she shot him in his butt with it. And my man was cool. And he started telling everything. He's just like, where's Gravik? They said, I don't know. Where's this at? I don't know. And she was like, well, tell me something you do know. And he basically confirmed that, Gravik had these doctors who are working on, a machine that can make scrolls stronger, faster, that type of stuff. And that was the machine that we saw that Gia was hiding behind when she was eavesdropping. So long story short, all that's going on. And like she knew that Gravik was going to come for him, Gravik pulls up
Yo,
with G and them.
this scene is wild. This is probably the most graphic scene
Yeah,
in any MCU property, period.
yeah. And
I
they
mean, like,
basically
you even see
they
like a little
murked.
bit of like blood, like
Hmm.
splatter. Like, I'm like,
Yeah,
yo,
yeah.
it
Like
was wild.
they murk all those guys. That lady, she got all her information. She goes out the trap door. We see Gia get out the car and make a phone call. I don't know whether or not she's talking to her father or not, but she makes a phone call. But he told her to wait, and she gets away, and they come and they grab the dude up, and Gravik asks the guy, "Yo, what you tell her?" He's like, "I didn't tell her nothing the whole time." We sitting there look like, "Nah, brother, you was squealing like a pig." And he says, "I told her lies." So they get in the car, they're heading back to base. Gravik knows this dude is lying, pulls over. They basically pop him, leave him out in the forest. They leave. Next thing you know, that's when you see Fury walking up to a
Yeah, we
house.
talked about
It's
it
a
at the beginning, but so like
yeah.
by when it was in the meeting, when Gia she left out, was on the phone. So
Mm-hmm.
more than likely, she the one who told him about the safe house. You know what I'm saying? Because the dude didn't tell him
Yeah.
at all, because he
Yeah.
was being interrogated. So
Right. Mm-hmm.
because the black dude was like, who told about the safe house? And Gia was like just looking real nervous the whole time because since he
Mm-hmm.
young and green, no pun intended,
Uh-huh.
he
And
don't
he
know
just want to
nothing.
be down.
Yeah. He just want to be down, man. But yo,
Yeah. Solid
packed
episode.
episode. Came with episode
Yeah.
number 3 next Wednesday. We'll be back, man.
So
Like, yeah. As always. See you next time.
see you guys.